The work here at the head of Quilcene Bay on Donovan Creek and Jakeway Creek and near the Little Quilcene and Big Quilcene rivers is really a great example of how we can integrate our work to ensure that we're protecting all the way from the headwaters up in the forest down into this really important estuary that's part of Hood Canal. It's so rich in habitat, and it really is dependent on high water quality. As we've moved up the watershed, we've moved into working landscapes. We've continued to incorporate habitat in the work that we do, but we're also now looking at protecting farmland. And as we move further up the watershed, we're talking about protecting forest land as well, some of which is working forest land. So this integrated approach to fish farms, forests, and community is so important to this long-term future of the health of our ecosystem, including how people are part of that ecosystem. 100 years from now, 200 years from now, the work that we're doing now to protect these critical watersheds will help us be resilient into the future. We are so grateful, first and foremost, to the landowners who have been willing to see the vision of this place into the future and to protect their land.
I grew up in this area. My dad was a local logger here and have been here off and on all of my life. I mean, one of the biggest dilemmas is just development pressure. Just the value of the land. It's 80 acres, and it's the watershed for Jakeway Creek, which is right below us here. And that encompasses about 65 acres of the property. And then it comes down to where we live, and our little farm down here, we got about 10 acres of pasture. We were facing choices of work 96 hours a week, splitting the property up. The land trust allowed us what we wanted to do anyway, which is keep the place intact and make that a not just long-term, but literally forever pact.
We are really deliberate about the choice of tools that we use to protect a place in perpetuity. So we're actually looking across one of our conservation easement lands to a 22-acre preserve that the Land Trust acquired from one of the neighbors. And the goal with that acquisition was to take some of the land that they owned out of agricultural production to allow for the estuary to expand as sea level rises, and also to allow for some really great restoration work on the lowest stretch of Donovan Creek and Jakeway Creek.
Volunteering gives an opportunity to follow through on a bigger plan. And the Land Trust has a wonderful design to get back into bringing the nature into areas that have been impacted. When I was first here, some of the plantings were almost knee-high, and now they're above my head. So in time lapse, I'm watching a forest grow.
We have partnered with North Olympic Land Trust to do some climate resiliency studies to look at a whole host of data layers, whether it's temperature that we'll see in streams, the types of species that might change over time, the sea level rise predictions. With the modeling that has been done, we are in a much better position to try and protect and focus our efforts on these connected landscapes. That is going to prepare us, hopefully, for the climate change that we see coming.
The Conservation District's been involved with the Land Trust since its inception. And then over the years that evolved into more technical assistance for some of their projects. I want to see perpetual clean water in Quilcene Bay. I want to see the farms continuing, but doing best management practices that protect the water quality and the salmon habitat, and a shellfish industry that can utilize the waters of Quilcene forever.
So the integrated conservation work not only includes the conservation of the fish farms and forests values, but it really speaks to the integration of us as a community, of our partners that we rely on to help us with the restoration, and the landowners that have committed themselves to protecting their lands, to the granting agencies, and to our community that supports the resiliency of the land trust. All of us working together helps us prepare for climate resiliency into the future.